That was head coach Brent Venables last night at Sears Sports Talk Live from Rudy's Country Store in Barbecue. But guess what? We have something even better than that was recorded last night. We've got Brent Venables live. This is the weekly press conference with head coach Brent Venables. Today's press conference is brought to you by Allstate. Get protected from mayhem this year. You can switch and save with Allstate. Now here's head coach Brent Venables.
All right, good afternoon. Good to see everybody. That time of the year, first weekend in October. Really excited to be a part of my 14th Red River game, and got an opportunity to go to Dallas, compete against a terrific Texas football team who's 4 points away from being undefeated, having played #1 Alabama toe-to-toe, and losing a game in which they controlled most of it against Texas Tech on the road. Incredibly talented team, really well coached, got explosive players on about every level, both sides of the ball, and sounds like they're a pretty healthy football team as well. So our players are excited about the opportunity. Had a great Monday practice and meetings. We got a lot to get better at. We haven't played well the last couple of weeks. And our guys are anxious to, move forward and have an opportunity to play again against a really good Texas football team that we're going to have to play well. And I think that goes without saying that you have a chance to win this game, you got to play well. And so that's what we're focused on doing right now. There's some injury situations going on right now that they're still up in the air, and I'm really not going to talk about any of those right now until I have clarity, 100% sure on who's going to be available and who's not. So today's not that day for that. So with that, I'll open it up.
Brent, your quarterbacks have different strengths and experience levels. If Dylan wasn't able to go on Saturday, what would be the deciding factor on who you would go with? Is there a competition for that spot, or is Davis the one you go with right now?
Obviously he's the first one that went in last week, so guys are going to, we'll have 3 quarterbacks taking reps this week just in case, and see how the week goes. And then by game time we'll have that figured out, and I would assume even before then.
Brent, with what's gone on with the defense the last couple of weeks and looking to this week against Texas, what can you do in the short term with the guys that you have out there to put them in a better position to?
Well, again, I think it comes to, our desire's been there, our discipline hasn't. And it takes discipline. Foundationally, it's where it all starts. We got to play with better discipline. Again, things that I've said countless times, and and it can be the smallest things. It can be one guy, it can be being inside as opposed to outside. It can, being underneath as opposed to on top of. Just, we got to play with better discipline. That's where it all starts. If we don't do that, we'll have the same kind of inconsistent results. In the first 3 weeks, I thought we played with really good discipline. Last 2 weeks, not as much.
That this defense can perform well.
Yeah, I've seen, again, I don't know whatever it means, but 40 of the whatever plays, that we saw went for 3 yards or less. There's countless examples of the first part of the season, certainly fall camp, or even in 2 defeats the last couple of weeks, where our guys are doing things well. Just got to get them to do it well consistently. And it's a very frustrating thing, the work and the buy-in, the desire, the effort. None of it's been perfect, just like the coaching, but those things have been there, but that without the details and again the discipline, you're going to get again inconsistent results. And for me, that's frustrating. I'm frustrated for them because of their work hasn't been rewarded. They're doing, their effort and their their commitment, has been there, but it hasn't been rewarded here the last couple of weeks. So frustrated for them, that the production doesn't match, the work that they've put in. But I know this: if you keep your head down and you don't get influenced by, noise and seeds of doubt and discouragement, that we'll pull ourselves right back out of it. I know that without question. But we got to go do it. It's easier said than done. Mm-hmm.
Brent, I wanted to ask you a little bit about turnovers. Looked like there were a couple opportunities against TCU. How do you balance that, wanting to be aggressive, especially if the offense is struggling, while not being over-aggressive and losing focus?
I mean, that's a balance you always have, each and every week. But, yeah, there's some opportunities. Again, you got to squeeze people. You can't let them be comfortable. And we allowed, TCU, and TCU executed, but we allowed them to have this enormous cushion to, it's hard to get people to, expose themselves. So you gotta play well, to get people to not be able to be, one-dimensional, or again, comfortable, and be able to protect themselves and things of that nature, scheme. Play-wise and things of that nature. So, we just got to play well, and turnovers are part of the game. That'll be a natural part, of the game, being on the right side of it.
Brent, I know you don't want to talk about the injuries that happened during the game, but Marcus Major, Marcus Stripling didn't travel. Was that injury related, or is that?
It was.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then when you're struggling, going through a couple game stretch like this, how much does it help to play your biggest rival? Because, if there's one game the guys are going to be up for, this is it.
Well, again, here's me. This is my feeling. And I know the emotion, the intensity, and what this game has meant to so many people, but we shouldn't prepare for this game any different than we do any other game. And if we are, then, and if I allow that, then we're, I'm not doing a good job of leading. We shouldn't do extra this week or be more committed this week. We should be habitual in how we get ready to play. And so that's my focus, is to make sure that the emotion doesn't paralyze you, so that you can't have, an intense focus about what we need to do to win and what you need to do individually to play well. So that's really trying to balance, the game itself, where our focus is, about, being inside out. And this is about Oklahoma, what we need to do to improve. And we should always play with passion and a love for the game. And you get 12 guaranteed opportunities. And so, so we got 7 more games, and this is the biggest game of the year because it's the next one. So hopefully we're not more excited to play this one than somebody else. That's a wrong state of mind, in my opinion.
Brent, you said discipline when you were talking to Ryan about the defensive things that need to change. Do you rethink scheme to make the connection there? Do you rethink the way you're teaching the defense to your guys?
You're always looking at everything,
Even more now, given the last year.
No.
So the message needs to be received differently then for the players?
It all needs to just, the byproduct needs to be better. All of it. So if you have a certain scheme that requires a bail technique, the technique that goes with the scheme, then you gotta execute the scheme, and you can't forget. And so you got to do a better job of emphasizing it as a coach and doing it again and again and again and again. You can't get bored with that. And in the pressure situation, you have to have the poise enough to execute. And so little things like that, they lead to the big things, as we know. So all of it needs to be better.
One more thing. Do you rethink your involvement on game days in terms of what you're doing defensively after the last 2 weeks? I think it's pretty involved anyway. But
yeah, I don't see it any different. I don't see it to be any different. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Brent, when you got here, you put in a new defense. Everybody expected you to. Did you do that immediately because you wanted to rip the Band-Aid off and get down the road to what you want to be? Or was there a case of, hey, this is going to work with the personnel we have? How'd you balance those two things?
So what is the, let me ask you this, what is the alternative? What do you mean a new defense as opposed to what? Just do what they were doing?
Yeah, or some hybrid that more fits your personnel.
Yeah, we got to build a foundation of, what we want to be. We're going to be a multiple defense, and utilize our personnel every year. It's going to be a little bit different. Utilize the strengths. Try to protect their weaknesses, put players in position to be successful, and you're always evaluating and never afraid to do things that maybe someone else wouldn't do or doesn't do, so because you're worried about the result or being criticized or whatnot. So absolutely, I mean, we're installing a new system in every part of our program, programmatically, schemes, all of it, from the day one. So it's not rip the Band-Aid off, it's build a program, and so with that comes your schemes in all three phases. So there's a lot of intricacies that, from the schemes, the verbiage, the language, the fundamentals that go along with it. And so does that answer your question?
Coach, especially this week in this game, mental toughness is really big. Are you pleased with where your team is now in terms of mental toughness, and do you do anything differently this week in addressing them about that, if it's an issue?
I mean, mental toughness is a part of getting in this circle and playing this game. So this week is not more important. That's not how I look at it. It's important every week. It's important every day. It's important for every one of you here. You gotta have mental toughness. To be successful in life. Toughness is a part of success, and when it comes to the game of football, it's a part of winning. And so absolutely, it's something that you got to have. And you can't get.
Asking also about, pardon me, Brent, but about if you're pleased with where it is now. Everyone's searching for answers, and I just wondered on this topic: are you pleased with where you are now?
And again, everything can be better. Everything can be better. So everything needs to be better. Whether it's physical or toughness or coaching or fundamentals or understanding, precision, timing. Nothing's more important than the other, but we got to have discipline with all of it.
Eli?
You guys talked the last couple of weeks, especially about evaluating everything after a loss. When you think about some of the plays you've given up, is there any evaluation of not just what's going on the field, but how it's happening, the communication, and what you guys are doing on game days?
Oh yeah, sure, always. Yep. Always, your Sunday staff meet, you're addressing all of it. How you travel, how you communicate, how you transition from one, special teams unit to another, all of it, constantly. Not necessarily looking at changing, just making everything better.
As it relates to maybe those explosive plays that you and Ted have talked plenty about, is any of that tied to that, or they're separate?
No, it's separate. Yeah.
Far right, Justin Martinez.
Hey, Brent. Seems like you and the staff have talked a lot about the group being player-led, rather than coaching-led. I mean, just who are some guys you notice have really taken it to the next level in terms of leadership right now, and is now a good test of that?
A whole bunch of them. I'm not being evasive, but man, I got like almost 30 guys in my senior meeting every Monday and Friday. So those guys have been outstanding, and there's a bunch of young guys that have been leading too. And like I say, these guys are hungry. They want to do well, and many of the guys have been captains, game week captains, and so there's a small list for you there. But I would be remiss if I start talking about a few that have been outstanding, then I would leave some off, and there's just too many to name. But our leadership has been really good. I've been pleased with it. If you ask the leaders, if they all came up, they would tell you that, hey man, we got to do more. We got to be more detailed. We got to be more consistent about some of our off the field habits, studying and things of that nature. That's what they would say. The all-around commitment. But I've been really pleased with the buy-in with the group of guys. And what we're asking them to do.
Texas comes into this game with arguably the best skill talent on the offensive side of the ball. Everybody talks about Robinson and Worthy and some of these guys. Talk about facing them, and on defense, they changed some things on that side of the ball. What are you seeing over there?
Yeah, they're playing disciplined. They're playing really well together as a unit. Giving up just over 20 points a game. Have given them an opportunity. Played really well against Alabama. Have given them an opportunity to win every game. We've got some excellent football players. Again, all three levels. They're big. They're long. They're athletic. They're playing with great toughness, and and offensively, same thing. Both lines of scrimmage are really good. But defensively, again, they're just giving up over 100 yards a game rushing, and have done a good job getting pressure on the quarterback and a lot of disruption in the run game. So, I know a year ago we were down 28-7, had a terrific comeback in a shootout, but they're improved from where they were a year ago, according to the coaches that were here and a part of that. And so we're going to again have to play well. There is no doubt about it. A year ago, I believe, was it a one point win or 7? Okay, yeah, we scored late. Yeah, so that was one of I think six wins that we had that came down to the last possession of the game, and a 7th win against Kansas that was an act of God to win that one. And so, what we've got to do, and the same thing, the first play of the game against Texas a year ago, they throw a perimeter screen. We misfit it, missed the tackle, and as they showed you, just like we saw against TCU, you make a mistake against a good football team that's got good players that have a pulse. They're gonna, you're gonna get punished, for mistakes on game day. So they've got home run hitters across the board, and guys are not going to faint when they're unblocked. They're going to make the play. And so, again, we're going to have to really execute at a really high level. We're going to have to play with physical and mental toughness, all of those things, to have a chance to win this game. And but again, I know based on our guys and how they've responded, and the challenge, to them was, there's a lot of teams that go through, every season, whether it's NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, certainly in college, that we've all been a part of. A year ago, I was on a Clemson team that was 4-3, and everyone wanted to burn everything down, and got the worst players and coaches in America in the history of the game, and that's having been to 6 straight playoffs and 4 of the last 6 national championships and 6 straight conference titles. So, but that team made a decision to get better and not allow themselves to be influenced by the outside noise, only be influenced by straining to do everything you can to improve every day. One practice, one meeting at a time. It's literally how you do it. And, and not allow seeds of doubt or seeds of division, come into the locker room. And that team went on to win their 10th game. And I don't know, I think that's 13 straight years they've won 10-plus games, one of only 2 teams that have currently have done that. So, that's the kind of mental toughness that you got to have, and again, circle the wagons, get back in the fight, however you want to say it, and that's really your only choice. And so, it's got a chance to be a great story, and that's what challenged the team, where a lot of people, again, 90% of the questions today is about last week's game. It's about the rearview mirror. It's about what happened yesterday and here today. And I want the focus to be on what's ahead, what's in front of us right now, going down to Dallas, and the challenge that is, where all of our focus is right now. So, but they've they're a better unit than what they were a year ago. More mature, more experienced. Coaches got a better idea of their personnel and have tweaked a few things, but they're playing really well right now.
Back left, John Hoover.
Brent, you talked to us last week in this space about players last week coming off the K-State game before TCU about playing with a fear of failure. Did that happen again on Saturday against?
I said they have a fear of failure. What do you mean? I don't.
Playing against Kansas State, the guys were playing to not make mistakes, playing with a fear of failure.
I said they're playing with a fear of failure.
Yeah, something.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't remember saying that guys played with a fear of failure. I don't know. But yeah, sometimes yeah.
Did that happen against Saturday?
I don't know. No, I mean, I saw first play of the game, they throw a quick hitch screen, and we have a formula for success. Number one is effort with technique. You gotta play with tremendous effort, but you gotta have technique. You can't. We attack the block, but we run down the middle of it, and they catch the ball and they run around us. Our help is inside, and we got to stay outside. So the effort's there. We got to, and sometimes the effort with the technique's there. Right now we're just playing inconsistent. We need to be more aggressive at the point of attack, and attack blockers at the first level, and be more disruptive with both our frontline guys and our second line players and our third line of defense. We need to do a much better job of being aggressive, tighter, more physical, and condensing running lanes. Right now we're not doing that consistently, and we're not doing it near enough. And so that's what I saw from last week. Make mistakes? I don't know about that. I don't know. I can't say. You have to ask the player. But for what I'm seeing is we got to have effort with technique. It can't just be effort. And our guys know that. It's a very simple concept.
Is that something maybe that can show up when your quarterback is throwing the ball to a receiver that's open and his footwork is bad, his fundamentals are bad?
Yeah,
so
I think
a
lot of things can break down, or maybe you're getting antsy. There's a lot of things that can be a factor, and not being as accurate as you need to be. And so again, and guys can press. It's a very real thing. You can't see it on a stat sheet, but my charge to the defense is when you're making things easy for the opponent. Next thing you know, it's 20-3. The offense will have a tendency to try to press and make a play instead of, hey man, let's just get in a rhythm and settle down. Let's play with poise and still be patient. It's a long game. That's a very natural thing. So maybe you get a little hurried to make a throw, or maybe you overreach a blocker and he comes underneath and makes a play. A lot of little things like that lead to that. When you get behind like we did. Mm-hmm.
Second row on the right, the front.
Yeah. So, Coach, a few weeks ago you talked about handling success. And for the defensive side, you talked about handling success and how they were going to deal with the success that they had the first 3 games. Now we're at a point where you're talking about handling struggles, handling some failure. From a mental standpoint, what do you need to see from guys, that bigger picture thing? And then you talk about some guys that have been beat up some last year, had some struggles defensively, had some struggles in the past. How do you prevent them from going back into that place mentally?
Yeah, I mean, you can't. I think there's a lot that goes into what you just said. It's not just one thing. It's continuing to show belief in people. It's getting the best out of them. It's still correcting and holding them accountable and being tough and demanding, but continue to give them hope. And I think it's important that you do a good job of showing them, all the good plays that they've made that align with maybe, again, here's the mistake. Let's, hey man, these guys, it wasn't just a 4-yard gain, it's a touchdown. So, what can we do to prevent that? And again, it's, again, defense is trained reaction, and, guys have got to feel not only confident in what they're doing, but I think the maturation is when they really understand what the guys around them are doing. Their game goes to another level. and both in their consistency, aggressiveness, precision, and we're not there where we need to be yet, consistently, So we're working hard on it, and you just go back to practice, There's no other way to get yourself out of a bad spot, but you got to have the right mindset, and we got to do a great job as coaches and leaders to help these guys that way.
Stay over there with Ryan Chapman.
You mentioned with the secondary Saturday, there were a couple of times felt like they panicked. How do you kind of identify that and root it out and work on that in practice to make sure that the next time they're kind of put in that spot, there isn't a sense of panic?
You do the same things that you've been doing. You literally put them in that spot, in phase, in a position, and then there's some techniques to finish at the top of the route that okay, he's not looking back for the ball, so now what do? Okay, you've been beat. Now what do you do to get, what do you need to do when you get beat? So you practice getting beat in your drill work and your fundamental work, and again, you practice when you're in a great position. Don't panic, get your head around, play through the man, play through his hands, and if you're looking back for the ball and there's a lot of contact, 99% of the time they're not calling it. You get in phase with a guy and you're not looking back for the ball and you run into him, and there's the same level of contact, they're going to call it virtually every time, and they should. And so you just continue to do what you've been doing, and sometimes you learn the most, through again failure and defeat, and and some of the maybe the bad habits or the inconsistent habits that you've been in practice, maybe now you get a little more focus, all the time, so guys can make the improvement that we got to make.
Stay on the right with Jenny.
Brent, you talk about inconsistencies with defense, getting that technique with the effort. Those vulnerabilities, as you think about moving ahead against Texas this week, was there a thought in your mind that those vulnerabilities might exist, or did they come to light these last couple of weeks with your defense?
I know how fragile the game is. One week to the next, things can be on different planets. That's what I know. You're dealing with, again, 17 to 23-year-olds. That's what happens. And so I look at every week in its own merit. I look at every day within its own merit. You got to play the game, and then you get exposed, and that's how you improve and get better. That's the only way you improve and get better. And so having these thoughts or whatnot, you don't know what you don't know until things happen. So, everybody has a clean slate every week. You certainly have always, you take into account things that they've struggled at and things that they've done well at, and then you try to, fix those things and promote those things. And so, to me, every week has a chance to, again, be a season of its own and a performance of its own. And we've seen it, time and time again, whether it's in-house or it's another program, another team somewhere at every level. So that's where we're focused on, just, again, the incremental improvement that we got to make.
A few more. Mason Young, second round.
Brent Davis, Bevel had mentioned during fall camp that he had played a little bit against Tyler and Jake in high school, and that he knew you a little bit from that. What, if anything, do you remember about that, and just, I guess, what's it been like to see his progression to this point?
Yeah, he helped turn around a really good Greenville program at the time when they hadn't had they were not doing great when he was a part of it, and then he helped turn them around. Very successful, long, big, had a big arm, can chew up a lot of grass, just very, very long. And in high school, he could run by a lot of people, but tough, competitive, instinctive, a lot of good qualities that you want to have in any football player, let alone your quarterback. A really good leader.
Third row, Curtis Fitzpatrick.
Brent, you mentioned 3 guys taking snaps. If Dylan can't go, is Nick Evers one of those guys?
Yeah. Yes.
How's he been doing up in Toughness?
He's done really well. On Thursdays we scrimmage for a few series. We go live. All of our young guys, future freaks, and he has done incredibly well all season. Matter of fact, he's done better doing being a part of those than he did even in fall camp, and he made improvement in fall camp, but he really did well. We saw all that potential, throwing, running, decision making, really come to fruition over the last several weeks. So Coach Levy will probably get up and tell you that he's not near ready, all the things that he needs to do better, but I'm just standing back watching him play football, and he's done a really nice job.
Okay, very back, Parker.
Yeah, Coach, obviously Billy Bowman didn't re-enter the game after he got banged up on that kick return. When something like that happens, does that ever open up a conversation about, hey, maybe this guy is too valuable to either our offense or to our defense to have him back to returning kicks, or is that just kind of the risk you have?
It's part of the game. It's the risk. You know, anybody's going to play on special teams. Our starting middle linebacker, you know, playing on, you know, he's one of the guards on the punt team. You know, do you not put him on there? You know, so Billy's a very dynamic player, as we've said before. So you hate that it happened. You know, you always, you know, massaging everything and evaluating every decision that you make. And so really unfortunate. You know, first time he's ever been hurt in his career. So it's not, he hadn't been an injury-prone guy. And, you know, thankful that it, you know, wasn't worse than, you know, what it could have been.
Last one, back to Barry.
Brent, they don't know who's going to quarterback for you Saturday. In some ways, you don't know who's going to quarterback for them. How much does that affect the game planning, the scheming for both sides all week? Really not sure what's going to go on at the quarterback position.
My guess is, you know, that it wouldn't affect either side. I know it won't for us. They're going to run their system, and they got tremendous football players around the quarterback, and the quarterbacks have played really well. So whether it's Cardo or Ewers, I don't see something dramatically different in what they do, and I wouldn't see, you know, a whole lot, you know, from them, expectation-wise and game planning, what they would do different.
The quarterbacks, though, seem your crew and their crew don't seem to have. They seem to have pretty wide variety of skill sets.
Yeah, I think schematically in both offenses that they're going to lean on what they do, you know, offensively, and the quarterbacks will you know, execute what they want them to do, hand the ball off, throw it deep, you know, bootleg, all those kind of things. All the quarterbacks can do all those things I just said, and can improvise and, you know, make plays on the perimeter, you know. So you know, have like it's Lamar Jackson and then, you know, then Roethlisberger. I don't see that type of discrepancy, you know, with guys on, you know, either squad.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, y'all have a good day.
That was head coach Brent Venables.